The guy used to resemble a runway model, but now looks completely unhinged to those of us who watched him from the start. I am convinced it is either substance abuse or a mental spiral because things got strange and he aged like dried leather over 10 years. Holy smokes, these comments perfectly capture exactly how the public currently feels about this disgraced perfume influencer. Jeremy Fragrance morphed from possessing the look of a flawless GQ model to appearing like a total wreck in just a few months. While he once secured the Consumer Choice Award for Best Vlog at the 2018 Fragrance Foundation Awards, he is now creating bizarre and borderline uncomfortable uploads that push the boundaries of what is acceptable on YouTube, claiming he abstained from self-pleasure before filming to keep maximum impact in his face. He claims he utilizes this technique for specific videos, but warns that overdoing it is excessive, so you have to handle and comprehend the process. Claiming your energy grants you ultimate power and the strength to persuade others. And as if that nonsense was not bad enough on its own, he was recently exposed for blatantly sexually harassing women, telling one that seeing her face and hearing her talk totally put a hard-on in his pants, but stating he would not display it. Hello, I am the internet anarchist and I produce weekly YouTube documentaries. And today we are diving into the earned and bizarre downfall of Jeremy Fragrance, exploring how he captivated audiences at his career peak, why his personality pulled a complete 180, and how he has become increasingly desperate in his hunt for a girlfriend. You know what I am desperate for though is for you to subscribe, so go ahead and smash that subscribe button and let us get on with the video. The rise of Jeremy Fragrance is easily one of the most unforeseen success stories on YouTube for Jeremy, whose real name is Daniel Shredinsky. He never actually planned on becoming a YouTuber and wanted to be a rock star, instead trying his luck with a German boy band called Part 6 between 2008 and 2010, and when that failed he went solo, releasing a single in 2011 titled All of Me, but when music fizzled he pivoted to something else, creating his channel in 2014 and officially uploading his very first video. Comparing perfumes of all things, specifically Lady Killer's scents, and you know, the stories regarding these two fragrances, and surprisingly, it worked. That video ended up amassing over 500,000 views to date, putting Jeremy on the radar, and that early success gave him the confidence to continue. Jeremy was working as a part-time model back then, which became a core element of his content, but what truly set him apart on YouTube, it was his uncanny talent for vividly deconstructing every aroma in a way the average person could grasp. Armed with his signature spin and sharp suits and magnetic charisma, Jeremy would assist his viewers in visualizing every fragrance by attributing human personalities to the bottles. The daring bracket. Okay, this is your risky cologne, and women absolutely adore a gentleman who is bold, who is fearless. He blended that gift with rapid-fire listicles that smashed the YouTube algorithm perfectly, going viral twice in year one, with a clip striking 1.8 million and a second one smashing past 1.1 million views. As a top comment noted, this dude makes you hear odors. Jumping ahead a few years, Jeremy had amassed a cult following, comprised mainly of men wanting to level up their scent game. He spotted this demographic and hatched a scheme to boost retention by dragging female models on screen and making them rate different colognes for specific events. This worked like magic, utilizing the female validation bait to skyrocket his stats. Sitting pretty at over 2.5 million subscribers on YouTube and over 10 million followers on TikTok in a staggeringly short time frame. Yet the retention hook wasn't just the energy or the models, it was the unhinged, unedited way he ran the channel, occasionally wandering out of frame mid-video to answer the door without a single cut, totally raw, saying, "I have to get the door real quick, 1 second folks. Okay everyone, just received some fresh samples." While on other occasions, he would purposely lean into his persona to entertain the crowd, claiming, "I will bash my skull into the wall now, but not too hard." Right? But his fanbase remained addicted to the display, captivated by Jeremy's intense fervor, vigor, and charm. Like one user said, "Man, I have never seen a guy this obsessed with cologne in my life. It was absurdly engaging." Tragically, right as Jeremy peaked and tricked the world into believing he was the most authentic creator on the platform, his facade began to crumble, with the initial fractures in Jeremy's pure reputation appearing way back in 2017. When he begged his audience to fund his Patreon to buy a fresh editing laptop, thousands of devoted followers paid up, wiring him cash to allegedly boost his gear and production value. But mere weeks down the line, Jeremy stunned the community by releasing a vlog titled My New Car, where he arrogantly flaunted his fresh Ferrari, documenting the entire purchase and taking a victory lap, all while his fans were convinced he couldn't even afford a new laptop without their charity. And as you can imagine, the fan base was furious, with one upset viewer noting he literally begged for donations, and then immediately bought a Ferrari with the cash. It's pathetic and deceptive. I hope he looks in the mirror and realizes what he's become. Sadly, this comment and countless others didn't survive for long, because rather than addressing the intense backlash, Jeremy quietly purged all negative comments while flaunting his new Ferrari like nothing happened, and somehow the outrage faded. His fans moved on and the scandal was buried. But Jeremy wasn't done digging his own grave. The next controversy hit with the launch of Fragrance One in 2019. According to Jeremy, the brand's mission was simple. Instead of trying to navigate the fragrance jungle, we give you a crystal clear answer. Where this, when doing that, it's simple and effective, and as it turned out, he'd already positioned himself for massive success by collaborating with legendary perfumer Alberto Morillas, the man responsible for crafting several iconic scents for major giants like Calvin Klein, Dolce & Gabbana, Ariana, Giorgio Armani, and many others. With his expertise, Jeremy develops the formula for his first perfume and, once finalized, drops the big announcement on YouTube. So this will be called Office for Men, our very first fragrance, and the best office scent currently on the market in my eyes. And even though he was working with one of the biggest names in the industry, Jeremy wanted his fans to believe that he hadn't forgotten his roots, a fact emphasized by what he claimed to be the major selling point of his brand. Regarding perfumes, I've tried to find the ultimate solution so you can skip the jungle of fragrances when you enter a store. Oh, which scent should I take? Does this last long? Is it mass appealing? Will I get compliments? What fragrance should I buy? Thus began his Kickstarter campaign, asking loyal followers to help turn his dream into a business. The target was to raise $25,000, which was hit in minutes. But fans kept contributing, and by the time it ended, Jeremy had raised nearly $800,000, making this the single biggest crowdfunded fragrance project in history. With his dream finally within grasp, Jeremy launched a brutal marketing blitz. And if you look at the initial blueprint, the Office for Men scent was allegedly set to cost just €39 or roughly $45. This would have honored his vow to provide an affordable rival to elite scents. But right before the drop, Jeremy dropped a bombshell that the cologne would actually cost €140, matching top-tier luxury labels, triggering instant outrage and accusations of a scam. Yet, he appeared totally indifferent. You would assume this disaster would serve as a massive reality check, particularly given his whole empire relied on those specific followers. But rather than retreating, Jeremy practically doubled the cost of every single scent just a few months later, courting even more vitriol from his viewers and weaponizing his own loyal fan base against him. But what made this pivot truly unhinged was the way Jeremy attempted to rationalize the ludicrous price hike, stating, "I am going to tell you now why the price of my fragrance will be tripled soon. You have to understand, fragrances to me are like an art form. Fashion is an art form. Art, obviously, is also an art form, and some cars, to an extent, are also an art form. And what does a car manufacturer do? They produce a very small amount of cars to make them exclusive." Now, while that logic might have seemed plausible at first, it totally crumbled when Jeremy himself took to TikTok to boast about his dirt cheap manufacturing process, listing the production costs starting with the glass bottle at about 50 cents. Then you have got the sprayer right here. This is another 50 cents. So we are at $1. Then you have got the cap. That is another 50 cents. Then you have the box around it, which is another 50 cents, so you are at $2 now for this empty stuff. You need the juice inside. The juice is the most expensive part. It is about $3, so 3 plus 2 is $5, and then you pay for the whole packaging, so it must be filled, and everything, that is another $1. So for about $6 in total, you have a finished fragrance. This triggered a fresh, even more violent tidal wave of hate against Jeremy, with users flooding his site with negative reviews, while multiple horror stories began emerging, of customers dropping full price for a cologne only for the bottle to never show up or to arrive shattered into smithereens. Yet, as terrible as ripping off and failing his own community was, Jeremy somehow managed to escalate the disaster in a bid to boost his clout, and it all began in December 2023, when Jeremy decided to make an appearance at an event hosted by the New York Republican Club. When Donald Trump appeared as the headline speaker at the event, he brazenly posted several Instagram stories featuring highly controversial figures. This lineup included David Bendall, the 38-year-old editor-in-chief of the Deutschland Courier, infamous for his ties to the White Ring. It also featured the populist Alternative for Germany party, Alexander Klein, a 31-year-old YouTuber and prominent activist in the German branch of the Identitarian movement, and the Austrian politician and TV commentator Gerald Gross. Unlike his previous controversies, he could not simply ignore this one, even if he wanted to. Within days of these images hitting his socials, his brand deals evaporated, with giants like Sky Deutschland and Aldi North publicly dropping all content and advertisements with him. Sky went as far as scrubbing his ongoing documentary, which had been airing since October, stating, "We clearly distance ourselves from any far-right content or statements." Even the high-profile publishing house Hill Verlags, which had previously released a book about him, announced they would no longer work with him. According to Jeremy, this incident cost him a massive deal, losing him potential millions. "I should have had a big money deal with a German fragrance chain, which would have given me about $300,000 to upwards of $1 million, and it just exploded. Because I was in a show where I took pictures with multiple people and one of those guys." But here is the reality. These brands did not just drop him over the photos. They did it because Jeremy himself had fundamentally changed, and perhaps that change should have been the Odoo project to better manage his channel and business. This video is sponsored by Odoo, the ultimate all-in-one business management platform designed for absolutely every kind of business need. It handles invoicing, accounting, projects, inventory, websites, and everything else an entrepreneur could dream of. One of their standout apps, Odoo Project, allows you to set up diverse projects with custom deadlines and milestones. Within the project, you have different views, each offering unique benefits. The Kanban view displays tasks in card form with custom stages you define, such as research, script, edit, and upload. The Gantt view gives an overview of who is working on what, including task dependencies and timelines. You can add tasks, assign an owner, set priority tags, and fix a deadline. Inside each task, you can add rich descriptions complete with tables, images, videos, and checklists, breaking complex work down into manageable subtasks. You can collaborate in real time with the built-in chat to tag teammates, send emails, add notes, attach files, and schedule activities like to-dos, meetings, and reminders so nothing slips through the cracks. Start using Odoo Project today. Your first app is free for life with unlimited hosting and support. You can access Odoo's other apps starting from €19.90 per month. With that said, thank you Odoo, and let's get back into the video. Listen. The primary factor behind Jeremy's explosive rise, eclipsing every other fragrance influencer, was undoubtedly his suave, self-assured and polished persona. Those razor-sharp suits, immaculately coiffed hair, and effortless charisma branded him an authority on magnetism. This allure was the cornerstone of his empire, with fans commenting that even straight men found him striking, or that he could get compliments wearing just sunblock. But by 2023, that carefully curated image had utterly disintegrated, a collapse that began with a jarringly sudden shift. It started with Jeremy declaring himself the world's supreme influencer after an alleged religious awakening, ranting, "I am Jeremy Fragrance, the #1 fragrance icon following the teachings of Jesus. No one has achieved what I have in this industry. I am the apex of this category. I am Jeremy Fragrance, the #1 fragrance icon that follows the teachings of Jesus." This narcissism might have passed as standard influencer bravado, where everyone claims to be the best, until he began plastering the tagline, "the #1 fragrance icon that follows the teaching of Jesus's" across every conceivable surface. From his channel description to every video caption, yet that obsession was nothing compared to his physical transformation. He began adorning himself exclusively in all-white ensembles with a massive crucifix dangling from his neck, while his hair appeared disturbingly brittle and parched, and his face seemed to age 10 years in a matter of months, a deterioration punctuated by his unsettlingly vacant, hollow eyes. This visual decline accompanied a disturbing behavioral pivot, rendering Jeremy volatile in clips with the Special Forces of Pakistan, screaming, "I was nominated twice for the Fragrance Award and won twice. I am the #1. I am the best. I am the champion. I am Jeremy Fragrance, the #1 fragrance icon that follows the teachings of Jesus." And it did not take long for the internet to draw parallels to Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, especially after he uploaded unhinged photos like this to Instagram. But ignoring the mockery and viral memes, Jeremy committed fully to short-form content manipulation. He would upload the exact same TikTok 5 times consecutively as blatant algorithm bait to determine which version peaked before deleting the failures. But as time elapsed, he began chasing engagement with desperate intensity, performing increasingly bizarre and unhinged stunts to remain visible. What started as harmless, goofy YouTube skits escalated into peculiar days, borderline distressing TikToks, like this manic dance with an unidentified woman, proving things had spiraled into total absurdity. The audience began questioning if he was consuming potent narcotics, with one viewer darkly joking that he is clearly inhaling more than just fragrances now. They likely had a valid point, because Jeremy's olfactory content quickly spiraled into something completely deranged and unhinged. He screams that this is literally his favorite scent, shouting, "You know what this is," referencing substances in a truly disturbing manner. His specific videos of inhaling Nutella somehow became one of the most bizarrely viral memes circulating on the web. He claims he used to be addicted to the spread and is smelling it for the first time in ages, yet that is nothing compared to his pizza reaction. He sniffs it and explicitly states he wants to copulate with the pizza, followed by disturbing comments about the milk being so good. It is no shock that he claims goat milk resembles maternal fluid and smells gorgeous, sparking a wave of memes comparing him to Homelander from The Boys. While casual viewers found the spectacle amusing, his veteran fanbase started growing genuinely terrified regarding the trajectory of his output. He transitioned from offering professional perfume guidance to churning out absolute digital slop featuring manic dances and psychotic reactions to odors. Meanwhile, the substance abuse allegations intensified after his Miami relocation, with one commenter noting he likely moved there and developed a drug habit. That theory is far more accurate than him finding faith, and the concern deepened when Jeremy began uploading erratic, shirtless clips. He possessed some muscle mass, but he appeared noticeably emaciated and dehydrated compared to his physique from just a few years prior. Whenever the audience confronted him about his deteriorating condition, he deflected with the same narcissistic response bordering on severe denial. He brags about the six-pack, the positive vibes, the red Ferrari, and the golden Rolex, screaming that he is a millionaire who loves his life. He aggressively shouts "F you" and curses at his critics if he chooses. And regarding the narcotics rumors, he issues a complete denial. He claims that everything caught on camera was merely a performance to garner views, insisting he knows exactly what generates engagement. He asserts that the manic jumping persona works effectively and is performed without substances, claiming it is healthy while asking if you have ever used drugs. He swears he has never taken narcotics in his life aside from alcohol, and despite claiming unbothered, he paradoxically released a video attempting to debunk the rumors. Once again, however, he only succeeded in validating everyone's suspicions as he wanders down the street without a shirt. He is seen eating protein powder off lettuce from a cardboard box. Yet, as grim as this looked, his original fans were still relieved that that erratic energy hadn't breached his long-form content until, out of nowhere, his fragrance reviews took a bizarrely suggestive turn. He began injecting an abundance of inappropriate and creepy comments regarding the various colognes he was supposed to be analyzing. Oh yeah, absolutely. This behavior was highlighted most egregiously in one of his most viral videos to date. Covering Perry Ellis 360 Red, he opens with strange remarks, noting the final scent he rarely discusses is Perry Ellis 360 Red. He calls it the adult toy of the industry, then spirals into a rant exposing a fractured mental state that isn't actually funny. He admits he struggles discussing self-pleasure, confessing that while he engages in the act, he intentionally denies himself the release. It eventually unmasked his severe depression, as he pivoted to his ultimate desire to find a girlfriend and secure a wife. He spoke of marriage and children before awkwardly segueing back to Perry Ellis 360 Red, though other instances saw him drop the most unhinged comments out of the blue, like announcing he had stimulated himself 5 minutes prior without finishing. He claimed he was chatting with women on Instagram during the act, and some of these outbursts were so completely out of pocket that viewers questioned how this content remained monetized, like when he stated he hadn't relieved himself before filming. He usually does, but claimed retaining his vital fluids gave his face maximum impact, a technique he allegedly uses for specific shoots. He warns against overindulging, ranting that harnessing your soul energy grants you what he describes as ultimate power. He believes it fuels persuasion, but this unhinged behavior transformed Jeremy from a leading authority on fragrances into a total meme labeled the internet's strangest man, with people watching for the train wreck despite his shattered credibility. Yet he wasn't fully too far gone, until he ignited a massive controversy that changed the game, and this time, nobody was laughing. For years, the community dismissed Jeremy's suggestive outbursts as satire, just his eccentric method of keeping the audience entertained. While his rants about loneliness and lacking a partner were mild red flags, most viewers simply didn't read too deeply into them. That changed when Jeremy was exposed by fellow influencer Sarah Harris, who dropped screenshots of their private chats on Instagram. The receipts reveal Jeremy's failed, predatory flirting, sending messages saying things like, "You woman, you know what I do with you. After we finish our dinner in a fine restaurant together and you are wearing that dress, do you know what we will do next, Sarah?" But when Sarah attempted to shut down his advances, he retaliated with an even more intense message that completely obliterated the line of decency. "It is going to happen intensely, babe. You will wear a pretty black dress and show your assets like you always do, and I will follow you to the restroom, kick you, and open my business suit. You will start my thing for 2 minutes." Yet Sarah, to her immense credit, maintained her composure and simply replied, "That is just a dream that you have, and it will never happen," making it abundantly clear that Jeremy had wrongly assumed something crucial. He thought that just because she wore revealing outfits, she would be easy to charm, but when she rejected him, time and time again, he did not take the rejection well at all. And that is the precise moment his messages shifted from merely creepy to outright disrespectful. You are not 18 years old anymore, and you know time is passing. So use your time wisely now and choose the best people for your future and for who you are. I am sure you know which great men deserve great things from you. At this point, Sarah became annoyed as well, rightfully clapping back with a few insults of her own. This undoubtedly bruised Jeremy's fragile ego, leading him to lash out by stating that she should have fun in life because the clock is ticking. "You should go to other men now to get your validation back that I took from you." Once these toxic messages hit the internet, his reputation went into freefall. The very same people who once felt bad for him now wanted absolutely nothing to do with him, leaving comments calling the dude a certified effing clown and stating they definitely believe he has pressured girls plenty of times. They called him a total lunatic and a narcissist.